October 8th, 2023. I, Geosage, had just finished my first YouTube series, a Fire Emblem Three Houses Pacifist Challenge, and was moving on to my next project. I was wondering if I could beat Octopath Traveler 2 if the only damage I could use was sword damage. It was a fine challenge, and I had a lot of fun making it, but when I sat down to write a script for a video, I started by mentioning that it wouldn't be possible to beat the game without using any weapons because... And that's when I realized I was wrong. Both Agnea and Ochette have ways to deal neutral damage from the very beginning. Ochette from her latent power, and Agnea from the Dancer's Ruinous Kick ability. January 22nd, 2024 had me beginning this run by playing the prologue of the game, just to see if I could manage to beat Agnea's Chapter 1 without any weapons or magical damage. And to my surprise, it was actually very easy, like easier than drop-kicking a baby seal. Gus, normally an NPC, joins us on this mission and has an ability that restores both HP and SP at the same time, and restores more SP than the skill costs, giving both him and Agnea a source of infinite HP and SP. With that, I'm able to continuously feed Agnea, and she can keep firing her kicks off. With the prologue done, the entire map opens up to us. So today my goal is simple. I want to beat Octopath Traveler 2, including the 8 main story missions, the final boss, and the secret boss, all without dealing any sword, spear, dagger, axe, bow, staff, fire, ice, lightning, wind, dark, or light-based damage. Spoiler warning for the entire game, because we are going to be doing everything that it has to offer. Now let's begin. Our first order of business is recruiting a full party, because Agnea and her single pool of SP will get us about as far as a slingshot trying to fire a pug. So who do we recruit first? Well, before we decide that, let's go over the damage that I can use in this run. Our ways of dealing neutral damage include the Dancer's Ruinous Kick, Oswald's One True Magic, the Almighty Soulstone item, poison damage, Merchant's Hired Help when hiring Beastmasters, Ochette's Latent Power Gauge, the Warrior's Vengeful Blade, and Temenos' Latent Power. Of these options, the one that makes the most sense is Hikari, since he is the closest. On my way there, I tag Partitio's town, but don't recruit him just yet, because we can't use Hired Help anytime soon. I then head to Hikari's recruitment area and bring him into the party. Now he can do...
Choose your next move wisely. I return your wrath.
What the heck?
So, turns out Vengeful Blade doesn't actually deal neutral damage. As we can see, it deals sword-based damage that always lowers the opponent's shield gauge. That is not the same thing. Until we get Oswald, we should never be seeing the enemy's weaknesses revealed to us. After this embarrassing discovery, I decide to do some science. I tested the other methods, and it turns out that Temenos' latent skill is also illegal, inflicting his weapon damage as it breaks the enemy. However, the other listed ways are still neutral damage, meaning they are fair game. Unfortunately, this means Hikari goes from being an extremely valuable combat unit into becoming about as useful as a fishing pole with no bait. I recruit Casti and switch Hikari with her. As an apothecary, Casti may not be able to deal damage with Octopath turning M-Poison into Poison Axe, but she can heal and restore Agnea's SP, which will be nice. I then travel across the seas, recruiting Throne from New Delsa. She also can't deal direct damage yet, but can debuff the enemies as well as steal resources from them. Next on my list should have been Ochette, but I didn't actually realize that her latent power let her deal direct damage until much later on. So instead I grabbed Temenos, a second healer. And if you're wondering how I managed to complete all these prologues without dealing any illegal damage, I didn't. I just didn't do their Chapter 1, since it's completely optional in this game. My next objective is reaching the guilds. I focus on the Merchant, Apothecary, and most importantly, Dancer. This lets me turn Agnea and Casti into thieves for utility, Throne into a Dancer for a second damage dealer, and Temenos into a Merchant so he can collect extra cash from enemies. From here I begin my quest to tag every available town I can. I travel all across Celestia, from the swamps of Totohaha to the mountains of Stormhill. While traveling, I managed to snag several levels and grab the rest of the guild passes, giving me more freedom with what secondary classes my characters are capable of turning into. Though this should take me several hours to do fully, using a cool life hack called a montage, I can make it happen in a handful of minutes. Now that I have a good amount of XP and equipment, it's time to begin Phase 2. Each character in this game has their own goals and dreams. Hikari wants world peace. Agnea wants to follow in her mother's footsteps. Oswald wants to commit murder. And most importantly, Partitio wants to make capitalism great again. This is important because Partitio's quest is the only thing stopping us from reaching unlimited power. For that reason, we are going to prioritize his story above all else. It's worth noting that I did several of the other early chapters in between Partitios, but for the sake of cohesive storytelling, I'm going to focus on them one at a time. Partitio's story starts off in a small village on the brink of poverty after being abandoned by its founder, a man named Mr. Rock Brilliante. After some character development, Partitio embarks on a quest to end poverty once and for all. But since I skipped his chapter 1, none of that is important. Instead, our first instance of Partitio's story comes from him seeking out Mr. Rock, a bajillionaire. Some people buy boats, well, Rock buys whole islands, then builds trains on said island, just for kicks. You think Elon Musk is rich? But when's the last time he bought a private island and built a train there? Never, that's when. Partitio helps his new friend Floyd by casually revolutionizing steam engine technology, quadrupling its power. Of course, for Partitio, this genius, life-changing discovery is just another Tuesday. But when Partitio tries to claim ownership of this great invention so he can give it to the people, Mr. Rock mentions that Floyd signed a contract saying that anything he discovers becomes the legal property of Rockenschmerz Evil Incorporated. He also sends this little pupper to try and scare Partitio away, but he's just a little guy, and who's a good boy? Who's such a good boy? Who's a good... After kicking the dog in the face a couple dozen times, Partitio convinces Rock to sell the rights to the steam engine for 80 billion leaves. It's worth noting that each of these dollars is made of silver, meaning that converting the amount to US dollars would probably double its value. A journalist named Dory is in the area, and though she has been converted to the cult of never-ending darkness and is very sad, after hearing Partitio's theme song, she decides to follow him, a spark of hope starting inside of her. To cover her obsession, she writes newspaper articles about Partitio for the world to see, which are really cool end scenes for each chapter. Before Partitio decides to try and make $80 billion, he first tours the world, doing 3 side quests. He casually funds the gramophone, selling it to each and every bar in Celestia. He also buys a boat for 100,000 leaves, getting him to explore the seas, and talks to some old guy who wrote a bunch of books, but unless you're an Octopath theorist like me, these are probably worthless to you. After these side quests, Partitio feels confident to visit the man known as Allround, the most important NPC in the game, and the second wealthiest. After flexing about his cool boat, Partitio makes a deal with Allround, where, in exchange for $80 billion, Partitio has to turn the town of Wellgrove into a booming marketplace. After visiting all the places he just was at, Partitio creates the world's first department store, solving Allround's problem within a few hours of being there. Allround agrees to give him the 80 billion leaves, but before he gets the cash, some random guy we've never seen before tries to assassinate Allround and Partitio by filling Allround's mansion with steam, then hitting them both with a bunch of wrenches. Luckily, with the power of capitalism, I can hire beastlings who beat him up for us. With 80 billion leaves secured, worry helplessly in love, and my team begging for Allround to spare an extra few million leaves to equip our party, Partitio is ready to confront Mr. Rock. Hopping on his boat, he sets sail to Rock Island. Unfortunately, Mr. Rock doesn't want 80 billion leaves. No, he wants power. Steam power. Money doesn't buy happiness. Building expensive murder trains does. He sends guards to try and stop Partitio, but after a few kicks to the face, they make like a key on a kite and bolt. Partitio confronts Mr. Rock, and Allround shows up with all $80 billion in tow. Instead of accepting the deal, however, Rock decides to unveil his greatest machine yet, the steam engine of Doominator. The train has one weakness, though. The claws of beastlings. With that power, Partitio is able to destroy the murderous train while being underleveled, and Rock admits defeat. With that, Partitio hires Rock to help him lead a new business, one focused on ending poverty instead of making money at all costs. With his epic theme song playing in the background, Partitio not only makes capitalism great again, not only convinces Ori that life is worth living, but has done what every person needs most if they want to succeed in life. Connections. After overcoming all the odds, Partitio immediately leaves his company in the hands of his dad and the man who tried to kill him less than a day ago. We have more important things to get to now that we can hire Allround, breaking this game wide open. Think I'm exaggerating? Here is a demonstration. After hiring Alron for $160,000, we are able to bring him with us into a fight against these 4 assassins. We can then summon Alron, who has a 1 in 6 chance of multiplying our EXP gain by 100. With resets, we can rig this to happen in this fight, granting us, well... yeah, I just got 30 levels in a single battle. Though this battle is a one-time occurrence, this boost is more than enough to make the rest of the story battles mere footnotes in the history of this run. But don't forget the greater goal. I don't just want to beat the game, I want to beat the very overpowered Galdera, which will require every edge I can get. Now that Perticio's story has been completed, let's go over Throne's. Her story starts with all her friends dying, leaving Throne desperate to leave the Black Snakes. Unluckily for her, the only way to do so requires killing her adoptive father, an abusive clown mom, and Throne's biological father, who is also her adoptive grandfather, twice. We casually take out a few local gang leaders before confronting Throne's abusive adoptive mother, a woman who wears clown makeup, carries a whip, and owns an orphanage created just to make a bunch of future minions. At level 80, this fight is over in 3 minutes. My entire team takes turns kicking Mother in the face, and with one gang leader parent dead, Father is next on the chopping block. He reveals that he was in love with Throne's biological mother, and has raised Throne specifically to kill him. The battle is very easy, and Father's defeat would be a lot more tragic if he wasn't a literal serial killer who enjoys watching his enemies bleed out and die. Eventually, in her pursuit for freedom, Throne comes across Claude, an ageless man who is shrouded in mystery. If only someone had an 8-minute summary video talking about all of Claude's lore. Anyway, after my team of 4 dancers continue to roundhouse kick Claude in the jaw, somehow not hitting the baby he's holding in one arm, he falls down, defeated. He says something about being proud of Throne for being strong enough to kill him, despite it being Agnea who landed the 15th kick to the throat that finally ended him. Speaking of Agnea, it's time to do Temenos' story. It is Temenos investigating the death of this world's Pope. While doing so, he discovers the secrets of the Moonshade Order, a group of people who believe in destroying the sun and creating eternal night. Though I am partially on board since both Temenos and Throne give my team passive buffs at the start of each battle when it's nighttime, the genocide they commit is a tad overkill. That and the fact that they killed the Pope makes them not really compatible with us. Anyway, Temenos finds out that the leader of the Knights Ardent, Caldena, is secretly plotting to unleash a similar power into the world, trying to destroy the Moonshade Order, completely ignorant to the fact that she's being played like a fiddle by everyone around her. That includes Temenos, as I easily harvest her life for 120,000 XP with the help of Allround. It's time to move on to the 3rd character in a row who's lost all of her friends, Casti. Casti has the main character power of amnesia, and a lot of her story consists of her trying to figure out who she is, what happened to her apothecary friends, and why she never settled down with Rosa. Bro, this sub-story is so sad, and worse knowing that if Casti had just stayed, maybe Rosa wouldn't have had to die. They could have been a small, happy family, and Casti would never have gotten amnesia, and... well... no, enough of being sad. Casti eventually finds out that her old friend, Trusao, went crazy, killing an entire village by poisoning the rain of all things. He proceeded to kill all the members of Casti's apothecary guild, then went on to try and kill everyone in the big city of Timberain. We intercept the madman right before he enacts his evil master plan, no matter how long we wait to do this chapter. Now, any guesses on how we beat this guy? Anyone at all?
You kick him in the face a bunch?
We kick him in the face a bunch. Eventually he goes down, and Casti's story concludes with her saving the city from her old apprentice. Now, with nowhere else to go, she simply continues to travel with the others, despite some of their goals being completely irrelevant and even opposed to Cassidy's neutral good alignment. I assume that she sticks around because she has a crush on Throne. And who would blame her? Besides, they both deserve some happiness in their lives. After all their friends and loved ones perished. Man, these stories can get real depressing. Anyway, Hikari's story is next. After being exiled from his kingdom in a bloody revolt, Hikari seeks out his good buddy, old pal, Kazan. A man so brilliant that when he once tried to assassinate the king, that king was so impressed that he offered Kazan a job on the spot. However, in order to gain Kazan's support, Hikari has to help him win gambling. After beating up several brutes without ever wielding a weapon, we discover that Kazan is mega rich. Not all-round rich or anything, but rich enough to spot us a few $1,000,000 for gear. Of course, this isn't an actual game mechanic, so we'll ignore that plot discrepancy. No need to bash on this cool samurai story. He's too cool for me to ever mock, and nothing could ever change that. Our next Hikari adventure brings us bad news. Hikari is sent back in time into Flashback Land, where he is forced into a battle. Before he learned the art of kicking people to death. I tried running from the duel, losing on purpose, and pressing the item button 20 times, but alas, there is no way to beat this challenge without using a weapon. So this marks the end of the challenge. Actually, wait one second. This duel takes place in the past, before Hikari joined our team and decided to give up his weapon-wielding ways. So if we squint really hard, the run hasn't died, it just ended before it began. I think that leaves our run in a quantum state of being filthy and pure at the same time. And since I'm not much of a scientist myself, I'm going to assume that our run is still A-OK. After murdering the man who tried to end our run in the past, Hikari beats up his sister in the present and peer pressures her into joining his revolution against his brother Mugen's revolution. Then it's on to fighting an old guy. How bad can that be? Hikari just kicks him a few times and the battle is over. Why? Why? Why does Hikari do this to me? I'm forced into using Shadow Hold, which is either a sword or spear attack. No time travel semantics to bail me out this time. Hikari's story has just ended this challenge. Who thought this stupid edgelord wannabe needed this admittedly cool story gameplay integration? Huh, Square Enix? Who did this to me? Well, of course that doesn't mean I'm going to stop. The real challenge from this run comes from the gameplay challenges, not seeing if it is or isn't possible. So despite this blow to morale, and smudging the purity of this run, it's time to push forwards. In Rage, I kill all 4 of Hikari's final bosses, one at a time, until this story is behind us. I don't even give Hikari the chance to rule his people. Nope, you owe us your strength, and we need you if we want to kill a dark god or two. Next on our list is Ochette, a cat girl on a mission to save her island from Majora bringing down the moon, the blood moon reviving all enemies. The night of the Scarlet Moon. Ochette seeks out 3 different divine beasts from across Celestia, accompanied by her fox friend, who I choose for no reason other than me choosing the owl in my last playthrough. Ochette has one major issue though. There are times where I'm forced into a provoke action, meaning I have to use my captured monsters in fighting. And unfortunately, as far as I know, none of the monsters you can capture in this game deal unaffiliated damage. So once again, our run is in jeopardy. Well, that would be the case if Ochette was stupid and dumb like Hikari. Luckily, she isn't. Instead, Ochette is fully willing to use items in these provoke battles, leaving us 2 options on how to deal with these encounters. We can either use an item that inflicts the enemy with poison and whittle them down, or we can use Almighty Soul Stones, an item that deals the same damage as Oswald's One True Magic, making it completely illegal for us to use. After throwing a few of these soul stones at any human foolish enough to stand in our way, we can beat Ochet's story with ease. What's more, Ochet not only has a way to deal true damage on her own, but also can end most encounters by capturing monsters with a percentage chance. This will come in handy later on, but for now, Ochet catches the 3 divine beasts easily. Then all she has to do is protect her island on the night of the Crimson Moon. A very scary owl attacks us, and I make sure to bring my friend Allrond into this deadly battle. The battle starts by forcing me to call a legendary beast, but since Kataraka only buffs our team, the run is fine. The only thing left for us to do is kick this owl in the face a bunch and hire a few dozen beastlings to help us out. The battle is actually a bit close, but I'm rewarded with another 120,000 XP at the end. 6 stories down, 2 to go, and who better to do next than our friendly ex-con Oswald. After being thrown in prison for 5 years, Oswald finally managed to escape, presumed dead by the general public. Now he seeks revenge on those who imprisoned him. After dropkicking a corrupt guard captain, Oswald hunts down Harvey, only to discover that the man has been experimenting with dark magic. He created a golem out of Rita's blood, forcing Oswald to kill a monster that had his wife's voice. Then Harvey reveals that Elena, Oswald's daughter, is still alive, but is about to be sacrificed, so Harvey can unlock the one true magic, and also write a book that is totally going to be a bestseller this time. Of course, Harvey doesn't account for Oswald bringing his 3 new friends with him on this quest for revenge. That, along with Oswald unlocking the one true magic, means Harvey doesn't stand a chance. For the low cost of $50,000 or so, beastlings can join us several times, ripping Harvey apart like starving piranhas who just caught sight of the tennis player. With that power on our side, Harvey is deleted until the translation team revives him, and Oswald saves his daughter, though he decides not to reunite with her for some reason. Probably because he's still a wanted criminal and all that. That leaves only one story left. Agnea isn't really that interested in all this fighting for peace tomfoolery. Instead, she begins her path to becoming a professional dancer. Honestly, her story's pretty boring. She visits a bunch of places around the world, meets friendos who come back in the last chapter to help her out, and it ends in an epic dance battle that may or may not even be a literal fight. Agnea becomes the new star in the dancing world, reaching her ultimate goal. That ends the main chapters of this run. There are a few other side stories, but none pose a big challenge. Instead, we need to focus on the next task at hand. If we want to kill Galdera, we are going to need a whole lot of XP, gear, and money. First things first, I'm going to need to unlock all the secret jobs if I want a shot at beating Galdera. And while we're at it, I'm going to complete every side quest in the game too. I won't bore you with the details on all these, I'll just jump into a nice time lapse. that's that. We now have every unique weapon we can get, but we are still under-leveled for the final fight. You know what that means? Time for an XP grind. Well, that's it. I've collected everything I can, leveled up as much as I can, and now it's time to prove myself. Let's go over the team that is going to be taking us into the endgame. Oswald is given the battle-tested staff, battle-tested shield, mermaid circlet, and quartz robe, with the Stone of Truth and Lila's amulet. With this and a few elemental nuts, Oswald's elemental attack is capped. I also equip SP Saver and Price of Power to further boost his damage output, deal more damage to raise his damage cap, and Fruits of Labor to boost his defenses. His SP reaches 450 with Nuts and the Conjurer job, allowing him to cast the One True Magic 6 times in a row before needing an SP refill. The Stone of Truth means that each attack will fire twice, further doubling his damage. With the One True Magic, Oswald is easily our best attacker, especially for AoE damage. Agnea is given the battle-tested dagger, quartz shield, royal guard's helm, desert plate, and 2 champion belts, with deal more damage, upgraded accessories, peak performance, and fruit of labors, and the apothecary's subclass. Agnea is able to reach the physical attack cap of 999 with a crit stat of 750. Agnea will be both a damage dealer when the enemy is broken, but more importantly, an applier of Doter's Charity, which will allow our team to stay in top condition while still dealing loads of damage. Temenos is built defensively with the Merchant subclass, giving him a way of dealing damage when needed. The Spirit Lord's staff boosts his elemental attack that he'll never use. I give him Alpoin's Amulet to boost his max HP by 1,800, and the Protective Necklace to boost his defenses. His skills are upgraded accessories, Fruit of Labor, deal more damage, and a step ahead. The step ahead skill gives my entire team an initial BP boost, which is the only real reason that I'm bringing it. The Desert Plate, Aegis Shield, and a Forgotten Hat bring his defenses into the 800s. Particio is given the Dancer class, giving him the option to either use hired help to help break enemies, or Ruinous Kick to deal loads of damage to a single foe. With a battle-tested spear, adamantine buckler, cursed helm, resplendent costume, and double champion belts, he also reaches the damage cap. With deal more damage, fruits of labor, upgraded accessories, and hang tough, Particio has decent defenses while being a major damage dealing threat. Cassidy is our best healer, no question. With her concoction ability, she will rarely attack, and so I focus on making her as bulky as possible. The Inventor class actually gives her the most defense, as well as a few extra support opportunities, including a way to refill the team's latent power gauge. With the Reaper Sickle, her damage is still respectable, in case she ever does physically attack. I give her the Wise King Shield, Mercantile Top Hat, Cursed Armor, Melia's Amulet, and Coat of Arms. Her support skills are Fruit of Labor, upgraded accessories, Hang Tough, and Rise Again, with both defense stats being above 940, and with skills to help her stay alive. Cassidy will be our team's best asset in staying alive. Throne is given the Serpent Slayer, Adamantine Buckler, Imperial Helm, Sublime Ornamental Armor, a Champion's Belt, and Blessing in Disguise, making her Serpent Slayer have more accuracy and critical hit. Throne is given the Merchant class, with the skill Deal More Damage, Fruits of Labor, upgraded accessories, and peak performance. At first I planned on her being a dancer to use Ruinous Kick, but eventually changed her into a merchant in order to increase my breaking power. I cap her strength with nuts, then also give her all my evasion boosting nuts to help her dodge a few strikes in the fight and keep her alive longer. Ochette is going to be my strongest single target damage dealer. With a battle tested axe, her strength gets close to the cap. I give her Fruits of Labor, upgraded accessories, deal more damage, and hang tough as abilities, and 2 Champion's Belts to reach her damage cap, along with boosting her critical to over 600. I give her the Shield of Strength to increase her latent power gain, then a Great Helm and Imperial Armor. With that shield equipped, she will always get critically hit, so she becomes much more fragile. Luckily with Hang Tough, she can usually survive one strong blow, so with proper healing support, she can prove invaluable. Last up is Hikari the Clown. He gets the Merchant class, so his damage output becomes irrelevant. I give him Floyd's Neobow for damage anyways, as well as the Aegis Shield, Imperial Helm, and Vest of Joy. I also give him the Librarian's Amulet for extra elemental defense, and Mika's Amulet for extra defense and speed. With upgraded accessories, Fruit of Labor, Hang Tough, and a step ahead, Hikari is built to be tanky while still being able to break enemies when needed. Now, that's the team layout. My A and B team switch between attempts, so I won't mention that. Now it's time for the duel. I won't commentate over this, so buckle in and enjoy.
Are bastard boots that we could think could run. What a bastful beauties, that's the
Well, Galdera has been banished until Octopath Traveler 1, and this challenge is basically completed. But I can't just leave Celestia without first flexing on Vide the Wicked, so it's time to begin the final chapter of the game. After our team sets up camp to celebrate killing a god, a dream of the sacred flames going out reaches all 8 of the travelers at once. A few shadowy monsters try to attack, but we delete them with ease. Then it's time to investigate. Our first stop is Crackridge, where we find out that Partitio's girlfriend, Ori, is actually a member of the evil cult dedicated to killing the sun forever. She nearly sacrifices herself, but then Partitio's theme song starts kicking in, and at the last minute she stops. The flame is left without a guardian, and we are able to use a magical mirror to reignite this legendary sealing fire. We also carry Ori's unconscious body back to the local inn, where she rests until the epilogue of the game. Next on our list is heading to Flame's Church, where Temenos' friend Mint reveals herself to be the leader of the Moonshade Order. She then challenges us to a duel, thinking she can kill us. She doesn't realize that we just ate a demon lord for breakfast. A few leftover beastlings break her shield, and Oswald deletes her from existence before she can mention how this night will never end. We relight another flame, avoiding all shadow monsters with our nifty accessory we got from Galdera's courts. Now we head to Totohana, where a monster implied to be the Dark Huntress tries to stop us. It goes about how you'd expect. The one true magic is just too much fun. Lastly, we check the cavern near Hikari's home. There we find out that Kazan is actually evil, and has been plotting the revival of Vide the Wicked for years. He's also Ori's brother, so he could have been Partitio's brother-in-law, if not for the whole being evil thing. With all the flames lit, it's time to kill another god of darkness. We hop on our boat, sail to a new island, and watch Kazan throw himself into a mini volcano, summoning Vide with an imperfect vessel. Who needs Claude and his whole bloodline when you can just hop in yourself, right? I'll let you see how well Vide's plan goes. Now that Celestia is safe for the next 400 years or so, the game has reached its end. I had a blast with this challenge, since Octopath Traveler 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Though the challenge is done, my time with Octopath Traveler is definitely not. Lore videos, speedruns, and hopefully a challenge of the first game are all coming up, so if that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe. As for the characters, what happens to them next is unclear. But I'll end the video with my own headcanon endings for them, Fire Emblem style.